When you got a lot of big boxes in the trash, that only means one thing: you had some major upgrades happening. Well, I got the Suburban up on jack stands with a ton of mud underneath it. So that only means one thing: I've been doing some spring cleaning. Hey y'all, it's Big D, back with Modified. We got some upgrades coming up for the Suburban. I got some CV axles I need to change. I got some brake upgrades I need to do. I got a motor mount I got to swap out, you know, big block problem. So we'll go ahead and tackle these things coming up. So every time I go to try to do a burnout, I get this weird sound of the fan rotating, going up into the fan shroud, because the motor's actually coming up inside the engine bay. That's how you know you got a broken motor mount. It's doing stuff like this. So when you got your engine torquing over inside of the engine compartment, it's not staying straight and delivering the power to the back wheels. It's losing everything it's got as far as rotational mass because it's not anchored down. So we're going to go ahead and re-anchor it. I got a new motor mount for it. Apparently this tab has been bent and the whole thing has been separated. It's two pieces joined together with like a rubber block. Well, it's just going to do it again the way I drive stuff, so we're going to have to drill a hole, put this bolt through the top, and that'll keep it from coming apart later on, because I'm going to drive it like I stole it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and remove this plastic inner fender well, and it'll give you a good view of exactly what I'm doing as far as removing motor mounts and replacing them. So you got to get the jack under the oil pan, pick it up a little bit so you got room to work, get the old one out and put the new one back in. This can be a little bit of a job, but bolting this thing together correctly, I'll never have to do this ever again. And you guessed it, see all this rust? Wire brush and paint time. I got to get a bunch of crud out from here, be able to grease these ball joints again. It'll all come out. So I have all these little plastic clips. I'm going to pop these things out and remove the center fender well liner, give us a better look at what's actually going on in here. Sound like an eBay notification. It's like Christmas. Couple for the wiring harness up here. Rest that out of there. Alright, one more for whatever this is. Oh, that's the vent for the front diff. Now we got all this exposed. Still can't see anything. Alright, as we go in here and look, there is our broken motor mount. So I'm gonna figure out a good way to get in there and try to show you what I'm doing, but I don't know. We'll see. That was awesome. 13mm takes it off, hopefully. Let's try a swivel, an extension, and an impact. Those gaskets anyway. Boom, baby, number one. All right. Let's see, is that? Who else is holding this heat shield on? The one up in the front. We'll go in, we'll go out. There we go. Alright, last bolt out, and here we go. There's your motor mount. Come at the bottom. Here's what the problem is. It bolts to the frame like this, and it goes to your block, and every time you go to torque up on it, the whole thing just separates. It just comes apart. I guess it's only going to go so far, but it goes far enough. So whatever glue this is came off of this. Looks like it had some kind of little points that went through here. Man, that ain't holding 450 foot-pounds of torque, bro. Come on. So yeah, I could have just bolted this one and called it good, but this is squished. The new one's all good. Alright, we're in my tiny little shop. I have my motor mount in a vise. I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole and modify this motor mount and make it bulletproof so it'll never do that ever again. What I'm going to be doing here is, this is the frame side and the other underside is the motor side. The motor side has a larger gap. My junk. It's got a larger gap under here where it meets to the motor. So I'm going to put the bolt head through there, and this side is the part that fits the frame, so it's tighter. There's like a knuckle that fits in here, but I have a spot right about here, and I can drill all the way through and mount a grade 8 3-inch bolt, 3/8 inch diameter. Never come apart ever again. Let's go ahead and modify this, and maybe we can get some burnouts recorded. Need a little spritz. There we go. A little spritz helps the drill bit stay fresh. Just a little bit of oil. Now we're in the rubber part. You want to go in and out a few times to get it out your way. You'll see it all come out the side that you don't want it to be on. Alright, all the way through. My shop is a mess, I apologize, but I'm just trying to get it all put together. So what we have here is a bolt. A grade 5 would probably do, but I like to go overkill. At the center of the back, like I said, this is the engine block side, so you have plenty of room because the block sits flat. You'll have a lot of room for the bolt to stick through. This side's a little tight, this is the frame side, but how it bolts, there's a knuckle And I use the finger measurement. That's about an inch, I guess, and an inch down leaves me enough room for the head of the bolt to sit there and the rest to come out the back. So I use grade 8 hardware because I'm only using one bolt. It's a 3/8, pick it up a little hardware store. I don't know, about $2, $2.50 plus tax. So on the short side, because the head's shorter, put this through here. The rubber's gonna mess with you, so you have to kind of push or tap it through. Get the other side, it's right there. Give it a tappy tap. There we go. Alright. Head of the bolt, washer for surface area. Double back on this side, washer. And nut. Of course. Washer here. And run your nut down this bolt. And I use a nylock nut. You can see the nylock there. It's the nylon in the head. That way I don't have to tighten it all the way up. The motor mount will still have dampening and shock absorption because it's not a solid piece. So basically what you want to do is just hold it back. And then tighten this nut down. Just about to where it's almost touching the washer. That way it's kind of loose. You won't hear it rattling around or anything. But you don't want to squish the right there. You don't want to squeeze down on this rubber part and squish it out. I mean, the engine weighs 700 pounds. It's going to do that by itself. But this is the side that gets pulled apart. So this bolt running through will stop the engine from pulling it apart again. It's got this here, but as you could see, it wasn't doing a whole lot. It was pulling through that. So this has got the side that gets all the torque on it tightened down. And we're not super tight. Like I said, it's a grade 8 bolt, so it holds a lot of strength. You could probably get away with a grade 5. And you don't want to wrench down on it too much. You want it just snug enough to where it's touching. If you can wiggle the washer just a little bit, you're good to go. Alright, back up on the driver's side of the truck here. Get a look. That's the perch on the frame where the motor mount sits, and that's the extensions on the block where it bolts to. So that's kind of what I was explaining about. You have this right here where you need to get the bolt far enough back to where it doesn't hit, but you have these standoffs right here that you have a lot of gap where the back of the bolt's not going to matter. It's not even going to touch the block. So I really don't have a great spot to put this camera while I do this, but here's the before and after. Got it upside down. Yep. There we go. Man, it falls right into place. I love it when a plan comes together. Man, that's great. I tell you what, I'll never be doing this again. Modified 8.1 or pretty much any engine motor mount. So you got the benefits of the solid mount because it won't come apart, but you still have the dampening of the factory mount while you're just cruising around. So when you're hitting it, it'll tighten up. But just at a red light, the whole chassis is not going to be vibrating due to the engine having solid mounts. The passenger side, you don't need to worry about doing this. The passenger side will never come apart because the engine torques to that direction. So what it does is it squeezes that side. If you don't have a 1-inch extension, I highly recommend this little thing, because it's going to be shorter than your deep socket, longer than the short socket, and way shorter than your 3-inch. And then you use this more than anything you ever will to get in the little tight places. You need just that little extra. And the problem I was having is this wasn't getting in between the mount and the bolt. It gets in there now. Alright, so like I was saying, look in there, right here, wires and stuff, there's the new bolt. It runs all the way through. It doesn't touch anything on the frame side underneath. Can't show you a picture of that because it's too tight. But everything lines up perfect. And that motor mount will never come apart ever again. So I'm going to go ahead and reconnect the steering knuckle here. Put the steering back together. This telescope's down. Pull that over there. Line that back up. Yeah, one-handed. Put the nut back in that. Put the exhaust manifold on. Then I can get to something more eye-appealing instead of a rust. You all tired of hearing me talk about rust. But you see it. You see it when you're parked. You see it when you're walking up to it, driving down the road. I mean, you know, your eye doesn't get drawn specifically to it, but it just looks way cleaner when you can't see any frame underneath the vehicle, unless it's a low rider or something with a candy frame and you're trying to show it off. But this is nothing like that. It's just a tow horse for a boat and fishing trips and family vacation. All right, y'all, it's back together. I'm excited. I have a motor mount that's not going to make the engine jump out of the hood, and that means I get to go smoke the back tires. Well, I'm gonna get it one weekend at a time. Just hang with me and we'll get on to something better than this. Thanks for tuning in to Modified. Catch y'all next time.